and that you shouldn't come out, and you should keep it secret and stuff. And so is that,
Yeah, I think,
yeah, is that something that the story tries to, does this story try to promote a different value, like saying, for example, that honesty, so what, what is the big morality in this? Like, it's better to be honest than fake, or a good parent should not lie? What is the kind of morality in the story?
I think in China is a big country. They have like a different region, different like province, city. They have their, people have their different like have just a way to act. But I think it's on generally, I think this story is about like because in China coming out is such a big issue, because still now, until now, we still have like more than 70% of, again, lesbian people walk into the straight marriage. So, coming out to be who they are, it's such a difficult, difficult life for a lot of LGBT people. So I think we are here kind of like the first, we use the story kind of like say, okay, the gay and lesbian people, they know who they are. But of course, they couldn't really come out as who they are because they have this family pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is just kind of like a very kind of like I think this is just very kind of like a witty way to bring the story out. Mm-hmm. It's just easy to watch, and also I think it's like the image, everything is just very easy and very nice. I think so. This is why this is a story also like a short, but make you think.
Thanks, Xiaogang. That's all really interesting. I think there's a lot of interesting elements. I think we might, at the end of this webinar, maybe if you guys are okay, participants, we have your emails, we will maybe send you a kind of a short summary of what people say and capture the essential things that I think it would be nice to keep the conversation going. And before we move on to Pamela, maybe I can ask participants in the group to share with us their idea about, in their own specific context, what would be these one or two major values that you think will really trigger the audience that you want to speak to? So for example, family love, or honesty, or being, not lying, or this kind of moral principles and values that you think would really be important in your own stories, or things that maybe you've already expressed in your stories and stuff. And so from these contributions from the participants, maybe then later on we might want to see who wants to come up on live and then tell their own experience in storytelling. So while we let people send us their contributions, Pamela, well, I think you should definitely introduce yourself and say what you've been doing and who you are, why you are such a fascinating person, and maybe summarize a little bit the plot of the film you've directed, so then we can watch the trailer and we can have a better understanding of the trailer. So Pamela,
sure.
over to you.
Thank you, Joel. So my name is Pamela Adie. I am a Nigerian. I live in Lagos, Nigeria, and I am a producer, director, filmmaker. I'm also an LGBT rights activist, and that's why I'm here. So today, the story that I'm going to be talking about, or the example I'm going to be using to talk about storytelling, is the film that I just produced, which is not yet out. It's called Ife. It's been kind of very popular in the news lately. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have heard about it or read about it or things like that. But to jump into the plot of the film, so the film centers two Nigerian women, Ife and Adora, who fall in love over a 3-day date. And while they're in this date, their relationship is sort of tested. and is tested by the realities of being in a same-sex relationship in a country like Nigeria. And so we see that their love is tested by family expectations, societal expectations, their own personal standards that they hold themselves to. And it also explores how much these two women are willing to sacrifice or not sacrifice in order for their relationship to succeed or not. And so we really the structure, we really followed the traditional structure of storytelling, which is, to introduce the characters, introduce the setting, introduce the problem, obviously then have a climax and then have a resolution. And so the trailer, which is gonna screen in a moment, really sort of gives a little bit of the highlights of the film. So I think we should just go ahead and do that now, and then we can talk more about it later.
Let's go.
Thank you, Pamela. So just for the start, Xiaogang, you have like nice comments in chat box that people are being moved by your video, so should be proud. Okay, so let's start with Ife and check what will be the reaction of our audience. Okay, so I will have a full screen and let's start.
I told my mom first. It took her about a week to come to terms with it, which is short for a Nigerian mother. Every day she asked me so many questions and I answered. She wanted to know what that meant, if I would have kids and all. At the end of each day, she'd tell me how much she loved me.
She beat up boys in my class, like anyone who dared bother me. Protected me. And my dad used to call her Gebewani.
Was it a long journey?
How much bravery did you need when you came out to your mother?
I can't ask you to choose between your happiness and your family, because they mean the same thing to you, and you get that.
Is it too soon to say I might be in love with you?
We're lesbians. This is the perfect time.
Pamela, before we move on, when is this film? When can we see this film? We all want to see it, I'm sure. You're muted. Sorry.
I know.
Yeah,
that's the question that everyone's been asking. And all we have to say right now is soon. Right now we're making festival runs. So once we're done with that, then the next phase would be the release.
Mm-hmm. So that's still pretty mysterious. Will we, it will be all over the news, so I'm sure we will see that. So Pamela, before my first question here again would be, so the same thing, we know that people are triggered and moved by emotions, and emotions are rooted in their values, in what makes them, what triggers them. So what do you think are, so you got here two girls, they seem very strong. They, even during the trailer, we hear the word bravery. We hear that they have gone through a long journey. So we know they're really persistent. They show a lot of courage and persistency. They're brave, right? Is that the major value and moral foundation of the film? Is it all about courage?
So I think that the film is, I think a major foundation of the film is, a major founding value of the film is courage. But I also think that a lot of it also has to do with the way that we value family and the way that we think about family and family's place in our lives in the way that family affects the kinds of decisions that we make, even in our intimate relationships. I think it also highlights a very big thing, which is an issue here in Nigeria, which is also hypocrisy. The fact that, you know, people are one thing in private and that they're another thing in public. And obviously it's not always that simple, but it's something that usually plays out when a film like this is released, or when we even talk about LGBT rights or LGBT anything in Nigeria as a whole. And I think it also, another thing that it really touches on is just, you know, strength, being able to say, you know, I deserve this, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to get. And I feel like that's another big thing that it sort of explores. And it also explores this thing about coming out. You know, how much when we talk about family and how much our families love us, how much do our families know about us? And like, you know, how much do they really know about us? Mm. And is their love, is it conditional, or, you know, or are they going to love us regardless of whether or not we are LGBT? And then obviously it explores the issue of finding love, which everyone, you know, is affected by, because we've all been, well, hopefully we've all been in love. Hopefully we've all experienced what that's like. And I feel like that's something that people are going to be able to relate to.
Thanks, Pamela. That's really great and very inspiring. We have a lot of comments of people saying that it's obviously very inspiring, it's very brave and stuff, but people are worried about the reaction of the African, you know, audience and stuff. And you've already had your fair share of, you know, negative reactions, but obviously also a lot of positive ones. I wanted to ask you one thing, maybe more specifically here. Storytelling is also about providing a model about how people react, because when people listen to a story, when they watch a film, they have a kind of a template of what they should do or not do. Does your film provide that template for a Nigerian mother who, you know, whose daughter comes out as lesbian? And so the connection to the questions we have, but you might want to expand on this. Does your story help shape, you know, does your story itself shape the reaction of people? Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. I have to wait a little bit for you to unmute me. But yes, definitely. I mean, if you watch the later part of the earlier part of the trailer, where Ife says, you know, that she came out to her mother, and her mother was very accepting and said, you know, she never questioned whether or not her mother loved her. So definitely it gives a template for acceptance. Because when you look at the way that LGBT people or LGBTQ stories have been told in Nigeria, it's very negative. You know, it's always from a negative perspective, where people need deliverance, your family doesn't accept you, and your life is going to be doomed for the rest of your life, and, you know, things are just going to happen to you. So here we see a different perspective, a different angle. We see someone who is very expressive, who's very loving, who has the acceptance of her mother, who then enables her to even be as loving and as expressive as she is to other people in her real life. And we also see that contrasted with her love interest, who doesn't come from a family who's so accepting. And so here we kind of see a contrast between, okay, we sort of give people a choice. Do you want to be this person who's accepting, or do you want to be this person who's not accepting? And these are the consequences.